That's the bad thing about it this time of year. Whenever it gets cold like this, so many people has inadequate heaters and inadequate this and inadequate that, and they plug stuff up that's either old or wore out or don't work right. And man, that thing's boiling. I don't know whose house that is, but looks like it's over pretty close to Ed White's, pretty close to Virginia or somewhere. Cannot be good. That cannot be good at all. Miss Sheila told me that somebody had contact, that she was alerted of the fire truck and 2 ambulances and several fire departments going down here, and it looks like it's not going to be towards the old road. It's going to be right here directly in the Sydonia area. I don't know if you can see the smoke from the way that I got my camera pointed there, but it's not a good thing. It's not a good thing at all whenever somebody's house burns, period, especially whenever it burns this time of year. But 9 times out of 10, whenever you're going to have a house fire because of the electronics or because of whatever, seemingly it seems like that this is the time of the year whenever you'll have more of a tendency of having those fires than any other time of the year, because of people plugging up stuff that they ain't supposed to plug up, or not taking the proper precautions and making sure that there's nothing in the way that's going to wind up catching a fire. You got to be very, very particular this time of year whenever you go to turning on a bunch of electronical or using propane or whatever. Oh my God, they got everything all caved off here. I can't tell what's really happening, other than it's somebody's place on fire, it looks like. Now the cops and everything's already down here. I don't know. This ain't good. How you doing, sir?
Well, can't come through here right now.
Is it a house fire?
It's a shed fire, yeah.
Is it really?
Yeah. Where are you headed to?
Well, I was going to go to Sharon, but I can go around this way and go back around by the water fields and go that way.
Yes, sir. That'd probably be what you got to do for right now. It's blocked off right now.
Didn't nobody get injured or nothing, did they?
No. But, well, alrighty, sir.
Did they call the Sydonia Fire Department out here too?
I think their radios are down right now. So.
Who are you?
Deputy Callens.
When did you start?
I've been here for about 2 years.
So you was under Mike Wilson? I didn't know that. You familiar with me? Juby? Juby? You ever hear that name, Juby?
No, sir, I don't think I have.
Okay. I'm gonna back up and turn around right there in that driveway.
All right, sir. You have to go. Be careful.
Hey, thank you for doing your duties. Whatever it is, it's a blazing and a smoking left and right there. Goes the Greenfield Fire Department. Oh me. Like I said, it's never a good thing. Never a good thing when something catches a fire, especially in the wintertime. They got enough people out here, maybe they'll get the thing out. That's the bad thing about this time of year. Ooh, it smells bad. And you can smell that all over Hades. I hate that. I hate to see any property loss. It don't matter if it's by a natural catastrophe or a man-made catastrophe. It just causes a lot of grief and despair in a lot of people's lives. Whatever was in that shed that he was talking about, man, that thing is really barreling with the smoke. Looks like they've got the Sydonia Fire Department door open, and the truck is running, but the truck hadn't left. I don't know what that feller's got in that shed, but whatever it is, it can't be good. You know, the first responders, they really catch it on the cheek pertaining to the elements. Sometimes the elements are super hot, and sometimes the elements are super cold. You know what's going on?
No.
You ain't heard?
No.
I guess it's a shed or something over on fire. Somebody done caught something on fire or something. Said the radios was down on the Sydonia Volunteer Fire Department. And that's kind of sad whenever you got people from Sharon and Greenfield that make it out here before the fire truck can even get out of the fire station here. I don't know what's going on. It's kicking up a lot of people. I know that. They're coming out. People coming out from everywhere. Seeing more traffic than what's normal out here. And you know, that's one thing that a fire will do, is that it will bring people out towards wanting to know whose property burnt, how bad it was, and whether or not it's somebody that they know, or whether or not it's something that they can do for them people. I mean, people are, you know, curious by nature, and I hated to hear about the TVI Mr. Plunk dying last night about 8 o'clock. I didn't know that he had problems pertaining to medical problems with his heart, that he had some sort of a heart disorder. I remember I seen him back about, I guess now it was probably 4 years ago or 5. I think David was still living, so it had to have been before 2017. I seen him up in Fulton at Walmart, in the grocery department, and I asked him, I said, "What the heck are you doing here?" He said, "Well, what are you doing here?" I go, "Well, I come up here to try to save a little money, because the taxes ain't near as expensive with their food and stuff over there. And sometimes you can save a little money if you cross the state line and buy 2 or 3 pounds of hamburger meat and maybe a loaf of bread." He said, "Well, I'm over here for the same reason. I'm trying to save some money." It was Arnold Plunk, the TVI guy, that was the first one that called up my brother David whenever Kentucky put out a federal warrant for my arrest, and the bogey went out towards a Dennis Jackson. And whenever they put that out, it just don't go into one particular area. It goes all over. And of course, anybody that knows a Dennis James Jackson immediately come to his mind towards who I was. So he contacts David because I had left him a cassette tape to listen to pertaining to my message going out to various churches and etc. And he said that he listened to the tape, but he didn't see nothing on the tape that was considered unlawful or anything that was considered that heinous. But he called my brother thinking that I was here in Tennessee. And David, my brother, said, well, he's nowhere around here. He's over in Oklahoma working. And I don't know if that's what gave them the upper edge towards knowing where I was, towards extending that bogey even further out into Oklahoma. I know this, that within a matter of hours, because the Oklahoma federal authorities already knew where I was working and who I was working for. They already knew who I was, and I done already had some dealings with the Oklahoma authorities, to the degree that they know just exactly where I was, because one of them had been in the shop prior to that, about a week before that, talking to me and checking me out, just wanting to get the feel of me and stuff. But they immediately come into to the workplace where I was working at for collision clinic, and needless to say, throwed handcuffs on me and arrested me for stalking in the first degree over 2 non-threatening telephone calls that, once more, I hadn't violated no type of judge's order or any of the above. And within like 48 hours, something like that, a couple of days, I go in front of this teleprompter talking to this Oklahoma judge, and the Oklahoma judge told me on the teleprompter, he goes, well, you have not done nothing to us, and we are not holding you because of anything that you have done here in the state of Oklahoma. We just wanted to verify that and let you know that if they do not come after you within a 10-day period, by law, we have to let you go. And he said, in some incidences, sometimes you get lucky, and depending upon the crime that they're charging you with, he said, sometimes you get lucky and they can't make the right connections, and they can't get nobody to come after the person that they're going after. He said, but odds are they'll probably come after you. He said, but if they do not, in a 10-day period, I promise you, you will be released, Mr. Jackson. I thought to myself, well, that's pretty nice of them. They at least gave me a heads up towards what the heck was going on. You know, whenever I was presented by this Oklahoma FBI agent, I was just, told that you got charges for you all the way out in Kentucky, pertaining to a Gary Hawkins and a Lisa Hawkins, pertaining to stalking them in the first degree. And I thought to myself, Gary Hawkins, that must be the same guy that works for the agriculture forestry division over there in Land Between the Lakes. I said, I don't have no idea where them people live or anything about those people's lives. Well, it doesn't matter. They got you for stalking. And all it was telephone harassment. And to think that they was willing to spend that kind of money to drive all the way to Oklahoma, pick me up, basically completely, totally ruin my life, ruin my job, ruin the fact about me losing my tools and my truck and my house that I'd recently rented out, and to think that they was going to hold me almost a little less than a year, speaks volumes about what type of people that I was dealing with up there in Kentucky that done something like that. Hey buddy, how you doing?
Very good.
They had a fire up there in Sydonia. You had a bunch of fire trucks and ambulances and stuff out there. I didn't know if you knew anything about that or not. Looks like somebody's up here building. You know who's building over here?
I think
Another one of the water fields? I know that one water field, he just built him a nice home, didn't he?
Yeah, right around the corner there.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think that's him.
Is that the same one?
No, no. You're talking about right around that S corner over there?
Yeah, back this way. Yeah. Back this way, you go around and then you shoot straight, like going to the water fields, and he'll be on the left-hand side. Pretty nice house.
Yeah, yeah. I think he's got more than one son.
He does.
I'm not for sure now.
I know that one water field guy, he just supposedly had a major heart attack and fell off a tractor or something, didn't he, back 7, 8, 10 years ago? Who you talking about? The FBI guy? Yeah. Yeah, I heard about that too. The TVI guy. His name is Arnold. Arnold Plunk. Works for the TVI. No, he works for the he works for the he's an upper high. He investigates murders and homicides and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? He's a federal guy. Or a state guy. But yeah, I heard about him dying last night, and I also heard about Hodges killing himself. Didn't Hodges live down here somewhere? Yeah. Yeah, I heard they had a big party down there, and he shot his wife first, and then he loaded that muzzle loader up and rigged up something on the door with a string on it because, you know, it's kind of tough to take a big long barrel and put it to your mouth or whatever, put it to your head, and he rigged up something and shut the door real quick, and it activated the gun and killed himself. That's bad, you know it? A lot of people are struggling, and a lot of people don't see no way out other than do something like that. And man, that's really sad because our government has failed us towards, you know, all these jobs has went south, and you got these little communities around here where you don't really have decent jobs no more. And of course, if you ever make a boo-boo in your life and you wind up having a mark on your life, you know, they'll hold that against you. And that's supposed to be against the law because they're not supposed to continue to keep punishing you again and again and again over the same crime. It's called double jeopardy, and that's supposed to be illegal here in America. But yet now, because they invented this computer stuff, and now they've got all this tracking devices, there's really no way that you can get out from underneath all that stuff. If you make one little boo-boo in your life, the next thing you know, all these businesses can hold it against you, and you can't buy a house, you can't buy a car, you can't rent out a house, you can't get a job. I mean, your freaking life's basically freaking ruined. Yeah, around a small town. Who farms this big field right here and behind you? Goes all the way back there to the, I guess it almost goes back to the river, doesn't it? Is that water fields there? Morgan? Okay. Are they pretty big farmers around here? They are. Are they from Greenfield? Are they? Okay. Right, right. That ain't the Freemans live down there too. Ain't they farmers down there too? They're on down. They got a bunch of cows and stuff, don't they? All right, man. Good talking to you here. How far down is that house where that boy killed himself? Okay. Okay. All right. All right. I'm going to turn around your driveway. Is that all right? All right. Thank you. I've seen this guy out here before. I haven't seen him. I've seen his wife. I've talked to her. I don't know who that guy was. But everybody down here just about is acquainted with somebody down here that knows somebody. You know, in your little rural areas, everybody pretty well knows everybody or knows somebody that does know somebody. This used to be our old school bus route back years ago. Whenever I remember it, whenever this road wasn't nothing but a gravel road right here. Nothing but a gravel road. School bus driver, Mr. Hazelwood, would go down this dude every daggone morning. Of course, taking everybody to school. And then he'd bring everybody back. God only knows what it costs now to operate one of them big old buses. Gasoline being expensive like it is, that's bound to be hard on the city fund, on city and county and tax funds pertaining to being able to accommodate the needs of the community pertaining to school buses and teachers, etc., etc. Everything's out of whack right now as far as it being out of bounds. It's really bad. It's really bad. Now this road here takes me back to Sydonia. I didn't know where he lived. I know that my son Nicholas had called me about this guy, and they must have had somewhat of a relationship 20-25 years ago. He must have seen it on Facebook or something, because he called me up asking about the details about it. And I told him, I said, I don't really know what all went on. I can only tell you what I heard. I heard that there was a party, and that morning after everybody had left, she had done already packed her clothes up and was fixing to leave him. And he went out into the yard while she was backing out of the driveway and stuck the gun to her head and basically ended her life. Took the gun back in the house, loaded the muzzle loader, which ordinarily, even if you're a skillful gunsmith, it's still going to take 2 or 3 minutes to load up a gun. But he went beyond that to the point that he not only loaded up a gun, but he rigged up some sort of a device on the gun to where he'd slam the door and the gun activated itself towards taking his own life. So in the process of all that, that had to have taken at least 15 minutes while she was out in the driveway bleeding out. So he had plenty of time to think about what that he had done to her and what that he was fixing to do to himself. People snap, and whenever they snap, they do stuff like that, and there's no reversing it. It's not like playing a video game where you can all of a sudden hit the delete button and everybody stands back up and you play the game all over again. I tend to wonder if that's not what's wrong with society over here, between that and the drugs, that so many people has gotten addicted on video games, and they can't realistically tell the difference between reality and virtual reality. And whenever they wig out like that, they all of a sudden shoot somebody, and then a couple seconds later they realize, oh my God, I thought I was playing a video game. I thought that I thought that this was, make-believe. Come to find out, no, it's not make-believe. You just got through actively discharging a piece of lead out of a gun, and because of it, once that lead starts out of the barrel, it ain't going to back up, it ain't going to stop, it ain't going to retract. I have no idea where this guy was living, where his house was, etc., etc. It's really sad that our politicians has failed their own people to the extent that today now the only thing people's got to look forward to in life is getting high and getting drunk and having sex with one another and just lounging around and watching TV and just basically being a horrible, wasteful situation. That's what drugs would do. That's what drugs done to China back before the 1900s, pertaining to opium, to the point that they had to go in and clean house. They basically had to start genociding those that was asphyxiated with the drugs because it done already had such of a toehold. There wasn't no way of reforming them, and the only way to get rid of the problem was to get rid of the people that had the problem. And I'm hoping that won't be our case here in America, but it's a possibility that could reach the level that society would have to become extremely, extremely harsh just to be able to stop the drug culture and what type of activities it has had over here towards affecting not just the adult society, but the teenage society, the kids, the young society. That's really bad whenever the drugs are so plentiful that even 7, 8, 9, 10-year-olds, 12-year-olds are getting hooked on the stuff. It's horrible. Absolutely horrible. Bad enough whenever I was 15, whenever I first put a cigarette in my mouth for the first time and become addicted to caffeine. That was bad enough. Yeah, there they are still down there. I don't know. Looks like they got the fire pretty much so out though. I'm going to cut this thing off. I think I've talked enough.